Hello, everybody. This is Mr. Walker. Our topic for today is still division, but it's estimating quotients with compatible numbers. By the end of this video, you will be able to estimate quotients of dividends up to 4 digits using compatible numbers. Estimate 132 divided by 3. Well, estimate means I don't need an exact answer. I'm going to start from left to right. I'm going to start with the 13. And I'm going to find a compatible number to 3. I'm going to show you that on a multiplication chart. Here's 3. And a compatible number would be the closest number to 13 that I can find, which in this case would be 12 would be our compatible number. Notice that I could also work across and find 12 as well. Rewrite 12 divided by 3, and using my same information, I can see that that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. I still have this 2, but because I'm estimating, I'm going to cancel that 2 out and turn that into a 0. Then I count my zeros, 1, and write. And my estimated quotient for 132 divided by 3 would be 40. Keep in mind that in this case, our divisor was 3. I was looking for compatible numbers of 3. In other words, if I were to count by 3, or they're also referred to as multiples of 3, I'm just showing the same information that was on this chart, but for organizational purposes, I'm just running from left to right. And you can see that here we started with the 13, and the closest number to the 13 that we started with was 12. And that's why we ended up using that, because we wanted to get as close as we can because we were estimating. You have some vocabulary for this lesson. When we talk about estimating quotients, we're talking about the answer to a division problem. Estimate in math means that we just have to get close. We do not need an exact answer. And usually we do use rounding when we're adding, subtracting, and multiplying. Compatible numbers is similar. Compatible numbers are numbers that are easy to divide. Usually we can use our multiplication chart or our facts to find that. Here's an example. 16 divided by 5. Now imagine if our job was to estimate this answer. I would try to find a number that is close to 16 that is compatible with 5. What I did here is I just simply put the information from our multiplication chart. I'll show you that right here. And because of organization, it's just easier to show you going from left to right. I'm going to show you the 5, and notice that it's just 5, 10, 15, 20, and so forth. And that's all I did right here. And we can see that 15 is the closest on this chart of multiples, right, on this information. So I would say that our compatible number is what? It would be 15. Now I take the 15 and divide that by 5, and you can see we have 1, 2, 3. Then I would, in this case, I would not have to cancel anything out because that is a 2-digit dividend. Our steps would be to find our compatible number, divide, to cancel out in 0, and to count and write to zeros. Estimate. estimate 176 divided by 8. I work from left to right. I just want to work with compatible numbers. In this case, I'm going to look at 17 divided by 8. And the closest would be 16. So that's my compatible number step. Now I'm going to divide 16 by 8, and I get 2. So that was my divide step. Cancel out means that, see that 6 there? We only dealt with the 17. I'm going to cancel that out and turn that into a 0. And then my last step is that I count 1 0 and I write. And so my answer or my quotient is 20. 2,795 divided by 7. Again, I want to estimate. Let's start with my 27. I'm going to find a compatible number to 7. I go to 7. I'm looking for the closest number to 27. In this case, it's 28. Now I'm going to divide. That would equal 4. I go back to my original number. I'm going to cancel out these two digits and turn them into zeros. And then my last step is that I'm going to count and write my zeros. 1, 2, 1, 2. So my quotient for this problem would be 400. Just a quick note, in regular long division, the last 3 or 4 lessons, we have said, or I have said, that you may not go over, which is true. When you're using compatible numbers, in this case, we were looking to get as close as we could to 27. You'll notice that I actually went over 27 to 28. That is okay when you're doing compatible numbers. And I know that that can be confusing, and you're going to have to work on remembering that for compatible numbers. But the job for compatible numbers is to find the closest number. Estimate 5,321 divided by 6. Working from left to right, I'm going to work with those two digits that I can make a little bit easier to find compatible numbers. I'm going to use my 6, and I'm looking as close as I can get to 53, and I am allowed to go over 53. In this case, because of compatible numbers I can go over, it's 54. Then I divided by half. When I divide, that would become 9. I take my two remaining digits and cancel them out. I'm going to turn those into zeros. I count my zeros, 1, 2, and my quotient is 900. 1,765 divided by 6. I'm going to work with 17, and I'm going to use my 6 again. I'm looking to get as close as I can. This time it's going to be 18. Divide by 6. It's going to be 3. Let me just again show you why. 1, 2, 3, and that's where we got our 3. I go back to the remaining two digits. I cancel them out and zero them. I count 1, 2, and I write 1, 2. So my quotient or my estimate would be 300. Let's try some word problems. Mary had 155 stamps, and her sister had 238 stamps. They combined their collections and put the stamps in an album. If they want to put 8 stamps on each page, about how many pages would they need? Here's some of the important words that stand out for this one. the word about implies that this is going to be an estimated answer. Well, I'm going to have to combine the two totals. So my first step would be to add. I'm going to show that over here. 155 for Mary and 238 stamps for her sister. 5 plus 3, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 2, 3. So they have a total of 393 stamps combined, but now we're going to have to divide that by 8. But because of the word about, we're not looking for an exact answer. Divided by 8. So we're going to find a compatible number, 39. I'm going to use my chart for 8. And 40 is the closest that I can get to 39. Divide by 8. That would equal 5. But I still have to cancel out this 3 because we're doing a rounding, right? Or compatible numbers. I convert that into a 0. I count and write. So they would need about 50 pages for their stamps in this example. And one more. Solve. John and his two brothers divided a package of 126 toy cars equally. About how many cars did each of them receive? The word about implies that this would be an estimate. And when we divide, and it clearly says divide, we can use compatible number strategy. So this is going to be 126 and I'm looking for another number. I don't see it, but I see here that we have John and two brothers. That would be a total of 3 persons. So this is 126 divided by 3. And because this is the word about, I'm going to find compatible number. If I go to my 3's, that actually is 12. So that stays the same. 12 divided by 3 is 4. I still have this 6. Cancel that out and turn that into a 0. I count my 0, 1, and write my 0. So about how many cars did each of them receive? We could say that each of them received about 40 cars. In review, our lesson today is on estimating quotients with compatible numbers. Remember that quotients is the answer to division. Compatible numbers are numbers that are easy to divide or multiply, in this case divide. And our steps today were that we would find our compatible number, and we could use that, use a multiplication chart, something similar to that. We would divide, cancel out any remaining digits and 0 them or turn them into zeros, count our zeros, and write our zeros. Okay, thanks everybody. We'll see you next time.